Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and certainly thank you to our witnesses today. I may not agree with every point of analysis and policy recommendations from our witnesses, but I do appreciate hearing various perspectives. I think if we sat down for a conversation about economic opportunity, we would find our goals are actually very similar. For every American to have a chance at a better life for themselves and their families, no matter where they live or what their background might be. That is, after all, I believe, what our country is all about. For the purposes of today's hearing, I would like to focus on two real-world issues where I worry Democrat proposals should be particularly troubling to working families and where Republicans have solutions to meet their real everyday needs. First and foremost, we want every American to have access to a good job. Right now, there are more job openings across our economy than job seekers, a recipe for rising wages. I do fear that some good intentions of trying to be generous to folks are actually creating barriers to getting people back into the workforce. I think we should all be very concerned about this. When I was chair of the Human Resources Subcommittee, we first introduced the Jobs for Success Act. Back in the 1990s, a while ago now, welfare reform was effective in getting millions of Americans into the workforce and actually reducing child poverty. But that was more than 2 decades ago. Our country does not look or work the same, and we must take steps to connect Americans from all walks of life with adequate opportunity. States passively telling people to work, it's not enough. The Jobs for Success Act would require states to work one-on-one with TANF beneficiaries to actively connect them with employers, get them started in a good job, and provide them greater support to address challenges like childcare and transportation. This will help keep employees working, ensuring they can access opportunities to earn raises and promotions. And once you are working, the child tax credit that Republicans doubled in tax reform provides more economic help for families. We all want every parent to have access to high-quality, affordable child care that meets their diverse needs. Unfortunately, the Democrats' child care proposal limits options for families around the country by only providing assistance to families using government-approved, facility-based care not located at a religious institution. 70% of child care is currently provided by a relative, in-home-based care, or through a religious-based child care provider. That means 70% of families utilizing care right now would be unable to use assistance at their current provider. Simply put, the structure of the Democrats' program would only worsen some of the disparities that they, I think, are trying to address. Center-based care may be a great option for 9-to-5 office workers, but it's generally unavailable for parents working second or third shift. Further, data shows that whites with graduate or professional degrees are the predominant users of center-based care, while racial minorities are likelier to use the facilities that racial minorities tend to use are expressly excluded from the Democrats' program. Instead of mandates, we should focus on ways to truly improve access to care, to work together on bipartisan solutions to expand access in places with the greatest need, provide technical assistance to new providers of all types, and ensure states can use existing dollars to help parents stay in the workforce. Mr. Ortiz, thank you for being here today. I appreciate all of our witnesses. One of the most frequent concerns I hear from businesses in my district is the lack of workers and about government programs like expanded unemployment and child tax credit payments keeping people from going back to work. Is that something that your members are encountering?
Yes, Congressman, thank you so much. It absolutely is. I mean, we have a couple of buses that we go across country with. We have a recent campaign called Bring Small Businesses Back because obviously they've been under attack and having a difficult time. And every single time we pull up somewhere, they're like, we hope you have workers in there you can bring to us because we can't find any. And this isn't because they're not paying them enough. In many cases, it's twice what the minimum wage is, or even more so. Just that in many cases, they're also competing against the federal government effectively because some of the overly generous programs really made it more lucrative for workers to stay at home than to actually go back to their work. What I've heard things, for example, is, sure, I'll come back and work for you, but I want it under the table so that I can keep getting the benefits and the cash from you. And this was a very consistent story that we were hearing, especially amongst all these small businesses, especially in certain industries, for example, in the hospitality and restaurant industries, which are extremely challenged right now. But yes, this is very consistent to what I'm hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. I yield back the balance.
Thank the gentleman.